This video is strangely nostalgic because the 5700U is a CPU that I loved and I had for several years in one of my old ThinkBooks, but now I've got a Thinkeagle with that same CPU, and the reason I'm looking at this is because it's a very good price to performance ratio. So I said, sure, send it on over. Also, I like the form factor. It's a very sleek Ultrabook style form factor, and it's like all metal. It feels really nice. In fact, the case on this, it has no branding, which I like. It means I can cover it in stickers and go crazy. But yeah, it's got a very sleek look to it. I mean, you would never know what it is if you just looked at it. You're like, what is that? Oh, well, it's a VigoBook G7 laptop. This is a 15.6-inch laptop with an IPS screen, 1 terabyte hard drive, and a whole bunch of other features that we'll get to in just a second. Let me show you something right here. This is the Microsoft Store. That's the retail price. And now let's head over to whokeys.com. You can get Windows 11 Pro, but we have a little bit of a deal right here. See, there's like a 20% off. No. Let's not do that. Let's get 25% off Windows 11 Pro. Once you get over here, we got a coupon code down here. Just type in TS25. Take a look at the price. $30.96. Let's hit apply. And now $23.22. That's the price I want to pay. You can also get the same deal on Windows 10 Pro, and at the time of making this video, Windows 10 Pro keys unlock Windows 11. Let's see what that comes down to. $17.61. You got Windows 10 Home, we got Windows 11 Home, and we also have a few different flavors of Office, like 2019 and 2016. If you're looking at like Office 365, it's one of those monthly never-ending things. $129 a year versus $99 a year. When you grab Office 2019 this way for only $53.56, it just activates and works, and there's no monthly fee. Let's go ahead and check out with our copy of Windows 11 Pro. Going to use TS25 here, and I'm going to submit my order. 269, there we go. Sweet. Yeah, sure, we'll save that. So after you make your purchase, just go ahead and extract your key. Go ahead and click on View Keys and Codes for the new one. All right, here we just need to press Start and then type Activate. You'll see Activation Settings. Go ahead and click on that. And then right here it says Not Active. That's okay. Just click on Change Product Key. Paste in our product key, press Next, and then click on Activate. Hey, look at that. Active. Don't be messing around with those exorbitant retail keys. Grab an OEM key. Head over to whokeys.com. Thanks to them for sponsoring. And now on to our regularly scheduled program. The keyboard on this feels fine. I mean, I think it's just a chiclet keyboard, but yeah, it feels fine. The positioning of the buttons is good, better than I think the ThinkPad. I really don't like the button positions when it comes to the control and function and stuff. This is a more standardized layout. We also have a numpad on this. No enter beside the numpad, so I keep like, because I type with the numpad, so I keep like and then smacking the side of the case where there would be an enter button, but there's no enter button. So it is what it is there, but yeah, it is nice to have a numpad. As for the touchpad, it's fine. I don't like any touchpads. I've never used a touchpad that I like. So having said that, if you want a nice size touchpad, it doesn't work when you put 2 fingers on it, just one, and then you can tap anywhere on the touchpad and that becomes a click. Then we have our fingerprint reader right there as well. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at hardware info and look at the rest of the specs. So you got the Ryzen 7 5700U, 7 nanometer part, 15 watt TDP, as you can see right here. And this is 8 cores, 16 threads. They're all like big fat cores. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to look at this laptop, is because I've used this CPU in the past. It's several generations old at this point, like 3 or 4, but it's still really fast and it's got a lot of cores, so you can do things like video editing with it. As far as the L2 cache, not as much cache as some of the beefier cores, but it gets by. 16 gigabytes of DDR4. We have a 1 terabyte SSD, and that's actually SATA. So it's an M.2, but it's, SATA is the host controller. All right, and so our speeds are slow. These are SATA speeds, so I guess that's what we have. Expected faster in a drive of this era. So all this, why do we have all these extra folders? What is going on under the hood here? Interesting. C, D, and E disk. Yeah, for some reason, this is how it came out of the box. Just a bunch of partitions on the main drive. So cool if you want a bunch of partitions. All right, let's take a look at the physical ports on this unit. So on one side, we have our charging port. Then we have USB-C, HDMI, and a USB port right there. On the other side there, we have our audio plug for headphone mic, whatever, like combo port. Then we have a couple more of the USB, and then we have TF card or micro SD card. And I want to note that the USB on the side there, I plugged in a couple things. The cutting and the machining on the shell of this case is a little tight. It went in there, but it takes a lot of force. Like I've got a dongle that's, it's really difficult to get out. It's like stuck in there pretty good, but I got it in. Stop making comments in the thing. Screen looks really good to me. It's 1080p and IPS. 60 hertz. Everything's standard, you know, it's exactly standard what I would expect for this. As far as wireless, we got 802.11ax. All right, let's talk about the graphics and just what you can do with this. Can you play some games? Well, kinda. I mean, if you like indie games and old games and emulators and stuff, we got a Radeon RX Vega 8. Not quite as crazy like a 780M or a 680M or anything like that, but you can play some games. So let's hop in and I'll check out some new games I've got here, new indie games, and just see how they run. All right, so I really wanted to check this game out. This is Backrooms Level X. Starts off, looks like in 1983. Now this is survival horror, but it's in like all these weird liminal spaces. It's going to be a bit difficult for me to play right now because this is the demo, but I wanted to show you what a 3D game would look like on here. And you know, you can play a lot of these indie games. So far it's just been a maze of the same texture for a long time. What is this, Twin Peaks? I feel like I'm in Twin Peaks. All right, I don't know what this game is about, but I'll come back once it's not in demo form anymore, but just wanted to see what it looked like on this little computer. Can this little system handle turbo overkill? Let's see. These tips are very important. Sloths may seem scary, but carpal tunnel, yes, that's what you got to worry about. So how do we run here? Bit choppy. So yeah, even though this is looks like a retro game, it does have some modern sensibilities. So let's go in and just change a couple settings here and see what we need to play this on. Turning off ambient occlusion. I'll turn off there we go. I don't think that matters that much. It just changes the way the game looks a little bit. Lighting quality, I'm going to put it on. Let's try low. Shading quality, I'll do mid. There we go. Let's apply this and see how we got. Feels pretty good. So if you haven't played this yet, I do recommend it. It's Apogee's latest. And yes, that Apogee. And yes, this is the kind of game that they made. It feels like, I don't know, all of the best ideas and some of the even better best ideas from the last several years were like thrown together into one game. The movement feels a lot like Doom Eternal, and I don't know, they've got a lot of new ideas as well. There's a lot of verticality in the levels, as you can see here. Yeah, this game runs pretty good if you just turn a few of the settings down. I actually kind of like some of the settings, you know, turned down a little bit. I find this game to have too much going on if you have all the post-processing, you know, turned all the way up and all the shading effects and all the ambient occlusion and everything. If you turn that all the way up, it feels a little bit more modern, but it's actually hard to tell what's going on. There's just so much on the screen at once. So I keep all that down just a little bit, and it's a little bit better. Anyway, if you don't have this yet and you like retro FPS games, I don't know what you're doing with your life. So I'll put a link to this down in the description. Thanks to them for sending it over, but I would recommend it regardless. You know, I was really curious to test an Unreal Engine 4 game just to see how the 3D performance is on this, and it's non-existent. I mean, it opened up at least. So yeah, this is Hyper Light Breaker if you haven't seen it. Not exactly my kind of game, but there's a new world in Hyper Light called I think the Overgrowth, and you go in there and, you know, create a build, and you can play with friends, and you beat up enemies and stuff. So yeah, you get your loadouts and all that stuff. Let's just see if we can make this playable. Low, yes, to 720. We'll see if we can play a 3D game on this. I don't think we can, but all right, here we are in the Overgrowth, and yeah, it's probably not something I would play on this. Even on the lowest setting, it looks bad on the low setting. It looks kind of weird even on the high setting. It's not extremely pretty, regardless. Other than the art direction is pretty, but like the overall graphical fidelity always looks a little smudgy and blurry. So yeah. All right, we're going to run around a bit here in Gravelord and just see how this feels. Now, it's interesting because a lot of these boomer shooters that are coming out nowadays are on modern engines like Unity, and that means that despite the fact that they look low polygon, they have a lot of lighting effects and stuff going on. What is attacking me? So all the lighting effects means that you're going to need to turn it down if you want to be able to play it on something like this. So let me go over to my video options and just show you. Ambient occlusion, I'll turn that off. All right, let's just see how this runs now, just with the ambient occlusion turned off. Yeah, a little bit rough. So this is, even for these indie style games, I wouldn't probably use this laptop for that. Let's take a look at Unigine Valley here, running at 1080p, FPS of 18.7, score is 784 if you're playing along at home. The minimum is 13.3. All right, next up, let's run Superposition. This one taxes the GPU and the CPU, and it's a bit too much for this system, but we'll try it anyway just so you can compare it to what you have at home there. And you can see our results. We're running at 1080p medium. 1464 is the final score. Average FPS of 10.96. All right, let's have a look at Cinebench. Right here on our single core score, we got 1229, right around the 7700K. Oh, that's a blast from the past, huh? Multi-core score, 5108. Again, right around the same speed as a 7700K. This is like a mobile 7700K. All right, let's take a look at Geekbench. Single core score, 1575, and the multi-core score, 1491. Let's scroll down so you can see all the individual test results right here. Let's go through them. You can pause if there's anything in particular you really need to see. All right, let's also take a look at the OpenCL performance. That's the GPU, 11752. Scroll down again so you can see the individual scores. If there's anything you really need to see, go ahead and pause it right there. All right, so overall the performance is pretty good when it comes to just using it as a desktop. In fact, it's actually really good when it comes to using it as desktop, but there's kind of a bottleneck around the area of the hard drive. The SATA hard drive speed, whenever I'm opening a bunch of stuff or whatever, you can feel that as the bottleneck. Like if I'm opening a big file or something, or if I'm installing something or whatever, a lot of us are used to M.2 that are 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 7,000 megabytes per second, but this is only 500 and something megabytes per second, 450 on the read. So I do feel like that's a bit of a bottleneck. It's not a huge deal, but you will notice it if you're doing a whole bunch of stuff, mostly when you're opening and closing things. You can still, edit 4K video on this at a pretty decent speed. It'll, feel a little bit stuttery at times, but just go into your settings and say, hey, while I'm editing, show this video at half resolution or quarter resolution, and then that'll make it a much smoother experience. But overall, for the money, I think you're getting a decent laptop. But is it better than going on eBay and just, buying a used ThinkPad? That's the real thing. Or buying it, because those things pretty much last forever. So that's what I'm going to compare this to right now, and they're probably going to get mad that I'm going to do this, but right here it is on Amazon, and we have a $60 coupon, so that's a really good deal. But let me go over to eBay and just check something out. All right, let's just see what we can find over here on eBay. This is going to be, it's almost the same specs, but we don't have as much of a hard drive. It's probably going to be a slightly faster hard drive, not going to be a SATA hard drive, but you'll have to upgrade this. So yeah, there's that. Also, this one is very similar. I got the same CPU, same amount of RAM. And this is also an IdeaPad Flex. So this is going to actually be very similar. It's just like, I don't know, do you want to go buy one of these refurbished ones that's a ThinkPad, or this one with your $60 coupon there? This might be a better deal than getting a used 5700U. There's other options to consider as well, but this is a pretty sleek laptop. You got Wi-Fi 6, which a lot of those don't have. You got a few upgrades that a lot of them don't have. I just wish that the hard drive were a little bit faster. So it is what it is. I like it. It's nice. It's sleek. It's well built. And it does exactly what I think it should do at this price point. The Thinkeagle VigoBook G7. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll see you next time.